When someone plays unfair, most people make one huge mistake that costs them everything. They get emotional or try to stay good in a game that has no rules. And that's exactly how they lose. The world doesn't punish clever tricks. It punishes people who refuse to see them. The truth is tough, but you need it. People who keep getting beaten are not dumb. They are trusting without a plan. They are honest without protection. They are kind in places that reward sharp timing, strong positioning, and clear sight. That's why Machiavelli matters. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching clarity. He saw something most people still ignore. Real power doesn't announce itself. Real tricks don't look obvious. Real danger almost never shouts. Watch the people who play unfair. They don't rush. They don't threaten. They don't explode. They smile. They wait. They let you believe they're harmless while they study every move you make. They know something you were never taught. Most people give away their secrets without realizing, through their explanations, their emotions, their need to be liked or seen as fair. Machiavelli noticed this hundreds of years ago. He saw that the fastest way to lose is to assume everyone follows the same rules you do. Unfair players don't break rules loudly. They bend the situation quietly. They don't attack your strengths. They move around your blind spots. They use your patience against you. They count on your hope that things will sort themselves out. And they win while you're still trying to respond the right way. This video is not about becoming cold or cruel. It's not about lying or cheating. It's about seeing clearly when others want you blind. Because refusing to notice tricks doesn't make you noble. It makes you predictable. Machiavelli taught that in tough environments, clear sight comes before everything else. Not throwing away your values, just protecting them. If someone is playing unfair with you, it's not because they're smarter. It's because they understand timing, psychology, and human blind spots better than you were ever shown. Once you see what they see, you stop reacting. You stop explaining. You stop wasting energy. You start moving smarter. In this video, I'm going to share 7 powerful Machiavelli ideas that change how you think when others play unfair, not to hurt anyone, but to become impossible to control. Stay until the end, and you won't feel angry. You'll feel calm, strong, and untouchable. Before we dive in, drop this line in the comments. I choose clarity over reaction. Number 1. Stop guessing intentions. Start tracking benefits. Most people try to understand others by asking, what do they really mean? Machiavelli would say that question is dangerous. Intentions are hidden. Benefits are visible. When someone plays unfair, they aren't waking up thinking, how can I be evil? They're thinking, what do I gain today? That simple difference matters more than any moral debate. The easiest way to get tricked is to focus on what someone means instead of what they gain. You listen to their tone. You search for honesty. You check if words match feelings. Meanwhile, the unfair player is watching results. They track advantage, timing, and control. That gap is where they take power. Machiavelli knew actions follow rewards, not goodness. People repeat what pays off. They drop what costs them. They justify everything else. When you judge through good intentions, you miss the real driver. Here's what unfair players do best. They position themselves where the outcome helps them, no matter what they say. They don't need loud lies. They just need situations where silence pays more than truth. They don't need to fight. They just need confusion to slow you down. While you're asking why, they're already planning the next step. This is why kind people get surprised. They believe intention explains everything. So when something bad happens, they look for misunderstanding instead of advantage. They replay talks, they seek clarity, they hope talking will fix it. Unfair players count on that delay. Machiavelli would tell you to ignore explanations and ask one sharp question. What do they gain if I believe this? That question cuts through acting. If they benefit from your patience, they'll encourage patience. If they benefit from your silence, they'll praise restraint. If they benefit from confusion, they'll never clear it up. Once you start tracking benefits, patterns appear fast. You notice who only behaves when watched, who gets vague when questions come, who talks about fairness only when winning, who brings up morals only when losing approaches. You don't need confrontation, you need quiet observation. Machiavelli warned that reacting too soon teaches others how to handle you. Fast emotional responses show what hurts you. Demanding answers shows doubt. Seeking comfort shows need. Unfair players store that information. Instead, step back mentally. Let actions run long enough to show direction. Watch what stays the same when praise, pressure, and politeness disappear. Benefits don't lie, they repeat. That's why Machiavelli valued patience over purity. Patience lets truth appear. Purity judges too soon. When you stop assuming shared rules, you gain ground, not by becoming paranoid, but by becoming accurate. You stop needing perfect endings. You stop demanding truth from people who profit from fog. You stop expecting balance from people who want imbalance. And here's the big shift most miss. When benefits become clear, the emotional heat fades. You no longer feel attacked, you feel informed. That calm is real power. You don't argue intentions, you adjust access. You don't debate fairness, you change position. You don't reveal what you see. You let actions speak for themselves. Machiavelli didn't say, trust nobody. He said, understand first, act later. The moment you switch from, are they good, to what do they gain, you step into control. But what if they're already too close? Drop this in the comments. I track benefits, not intentions. Number 2, control who gets close before you try to control results. Most people try to fix problems at the end. They argue decisions, negotiate outcomes. Machiavelli would say you're already too late. True influence starts much earlier, at the gates. Who gets your time, your information, your emotions? Once those gates are set, results follow almost automatically. Unfair players know this by instinct. They don't fight over final choices first. They quietly decide who stays near, who hears what, who gets emotional access. Once that's locked in, everything else leans their way. The common mistake is thinking availability equals importance. People stay open out of habit, politeness, or fear of looking cold. They believe being reachable keeps them in the game. In reality, it keeps them exposed. Access is valuable currency. Every moment someone has easy reach to you, they collect data, your tone, your timing, your stress points, your habits. Unfair players gather calmly while you fill the air with reactions and explanations. Machiavelli saw that people treat you based on how easy you are to reach, not how valuable you are. Constant availability lowers respect. Required effort raises it. That's why unfair players push closeness early. Casual chats, frequent messages, unnecessary updates, deep sharing disguised as connection. It's never random. It makes reaching you cheap. Once it's cheap, pressure is easy. You see this everywhere. At work, when people skip process to just talk. In relationships when boundaries are called distance. In deals when fake urgency keeps you engaged. Machiavelli's advice: pull back deliberately, not dramatically. Don't announce distance. Add small friction. Shorten replies. Normalize selectivity. This quiet shift forces others to adjust. When access isn't automatic, tone improves. Requests get clearer. Behavior tightens. Unfair players hate this because their free scanning stops. No constant contact means no fresh data. No data means no new tactics. Many feel uncomfortable doing this. They worry it looks arrogant. Unfair players count on that worry. They frame boundaries as weakness. They claim openness proves strength. Machiavelli saw the lie. Strength doesn't need constant presence. Authority doesn't need constant explanation. By controlling access, you flip effort. Others start investing to reach you. They prepare more. They reveal priorities faster. The dynamic changes quietly. Emotional access is even more important. Unfair players want your inner world most of all. Once emotions are open, leverage explodes. Reactions become predictable. Pressure works better. Machiavelli said, guard emotional access tighter than facts. Facts can be replaced. Exposed triggers cannot. This isn't hiding feelings. It's keeping them private. Don't vent to people above you. Don't process out loud. Don't fix feelings while others watch. When emotions stay contained, choices stay yours. Watch how people act when they can't reach you instantly. Some become respectful. Some grow impatient. Some show entitlement. All of it is valuable information. Controlling access isn't punishment. It's filtering. Respectful people earn closeness. Pushy people expose themselves. Machiavelli believed power grows where dependency shrinks. When others can't count on instant access, interaction becomes intentional. The goal isn't isolation, it's chosen exposure. When you decide who gets in, when, and how deep surprises stop, you stop being pulled into drama. You enter situations ready. Control access first. Results take care of themselves. But what if they keep pushing anyway? Drop this in the comments. My time is chosen, not automatic. Number 3. Let others finish their story while you stay open-ended. Most people feel a strong urge to close every conversation neatly. They want agreement. They want understanding. They want everything resolved. Machiavelli would call that urge a weakness. Closing fast satisfies your comfort, not your strategy. Unfair players love your need for resolution. They create just enough tension to trigger it. Once triggered, you start offering clarity, reassurance, explanation, not because it helps you, but because uncertainty feels bad. That's where your advantage leaks. Staying open-ended keeps you in control. When people don't know exactly where you stand, they stay exposed, they talk more, they adjust faster, they try to fill the gap. Machiavelli knew people speak most when they're unsure. Silence invites them to project. Projection reveals true motives. When you remain slightly unreadable, others fill the space themselves. They explain things you never asked. They justify choices you never questioned. They give context they would have kept hidden if you had rushed to reply. This isn't passive. It's disciplined restraint. Unfair players prepare for argument or quick agreement. They rarely prepare for calm ambiguity. Ambiguity forces them to improvise. Improvisation shows cracks. Staying open-ended means resisting the urge to correct misunderstandings immediately. If someone misreads you and it doesn't cost you position, let it sit. Their next action will show if the mistake is accidental or useful to them. Machiavelli loved delayed clarity because it let patterns appear. One event tells little. Repetition tells everything. When you close loops too fast, you lose data. Most people reveal too much because they want to be seen correctly. Unfair players exploit this by misinterpreting on purpose, knowing you'll rush to fix it. In fixing, you show priorities, limits, emotional investment. Instead, let interpretations hang. Watch how people act when they think they have the upper hand. Watch what they repeat. Watch what they push. Watch how they behave when they believe you haven't noticed. Staying open-ended also protects your options. When you don't lock in a public position, you stay flexible inside. You can reassess without defending old words. Machiavelli knew early commitment narrows choices. Once you declare, changing costs reputation. Staying unfinished keeps doors open, while others commit through actions. There's also a quiet pressure created when you don't chase closure. People used to control feel uneasy. They talk more, push harder, show frustration. Every extra word is more information. That's why unfair players try to force endings. They demand answers. They set deadlines. They call delay weakness. Their rush isn't about truth. It's about regaining control. An open-ended stance denies them that. This doesn't mean stalling forever. It means choosing when closure helps you. Resolution on your timeline, not theirs. Machiavelli believed power works best when others move first. When they commit words, effort, or behavior before you, they limit themselves. You gain space. Staying open-ended also changes how people see you. They stop assuming they know your thoughts. They speak more carefully. They think twice before acting. Your predictability drops. Many believe total openness builds trust. Machiavelli would say, measured mystery builds respect. Trust grows from consistent actions over time, not instant transparency. Let talks breathe. Let situations develop. Let people show themselves without pressure. You don't need to control every word. You don't need to settle every story. You don't need to finish what benefits from staying open. When you stop rushing closure, you stop being managed by urgency. You become the calm observer. And observers choose the outcome. Drop this in the comments. I let truth reveal itself. Ready for the next level of protection. Number 4. Stay neutral on the outside. Emotion is a target. Most people think showing feelings proves they're real. Machiavelli would say it just shows where to hit. Emotion marks exact spots for pressure. Unfair players aren't looking for truth. They're looking for reactions. Every visible feeling is a map. Anger shows where push works. Excitement shows what you want. Defensiveness shows where you're weak. None of this needs questions. It appears naturally when emotion leads. That's why skilled players steer talks toward feelings, not facts. Once emotion rises, control gets easier. Logic softens. Timing speeds. Choices shrink. Machiavelli knew emotional visibility removes protection. Neutral calm acts like camouflage. When your face and tone stay steady, others can't find leverage. They test, they probe, they exaggerate. Every test tells you more about them than about you. The mistake is thinking neutrality looks cold. It doesn't. It looks disciplined. You can feel deeply inside without advertising it. Unfair players need emotional feedback. When they get none, their confidence drops. Watch how people escalate when they can't read you. They repeat louder. They sharpen tone. They stress importance. That escalation isn't strength. It's lost direction. Machiavelli saw that calm restraint creates imbalance. The person showing less controls rhythm, the person showing more chases balance. That quiet reversal shifts power. Neutrality also blocks story traps. When you react emotionally, others label you oversensitive, difficult, aggressive. When you stay even, labels can't stick. People struggle to assign motive without emotional proof. Unfair players love quick labels. Labels work best when feelings back them up. Neutral behavior starves labels. There's also an inner benefit. Keeping emotions contained keeps your thinking sharp. You spot small lies. You notice timing changes. You see gaps between words and actions. Machiavelli valued this inner distance. Feelings don't vanish. They wait. Waiting keeps choice alive. Many confuse honesty with instant expression. Unfair players encourage that belief because it helps them. Fast expression creates patterns. Patterns make control simple. Neutral calm breaks the pattern. This isn't robot mode. It's measured response. Calm when others expect upset. Steady when others expect comfort. Brief when others expect long explanation. These small mismatches force them to recalibrate. Watch how behavior changes when no reaction comes. Some get careful, some lose interest. Some push harder and expose themselves. Each reaction is useful. Machiavelli knew the safest spot offers no emotional grip. Without grip, pressure slides off. Over time, people link neutrality with strength. Your words carry weight because emotion doesn't dilute them. Silence feels purposeful. Presence feels solid. This reputation changes approach. People prepare more. They choose words carefully. They test less. Not because you asked, but because uncertainty demands respect. Many fear neutrality looks distant. Unfair players use that fear, claiming open emotion proves confidence. In truth, uncontrolled emotion helps the watcher more than the feeler. Machiavelli would say, protect inner fire. What's protected can't be used against you. Neutral calm also buys time without looking weak. You're not avoiding, you're observing. That space lets you choose real response later. The goal isn't no feeling, it's containment. Containment stops signals. Signals become maps. Maps guide tricks. When neutrality becomes natural, unfair players stop trying. Cost goes up, reward goes down. They move on. That's the silent win. Drop this in the comments. My emotions stay private. Calm is the ultimate weapon. But what if they change the entire game around you? Number 5. Think in layers, not straight lines. Most people see conflict as a direct path. Action, reaction, resolution. Machiavelli would say that thinking traps you in someone else's plan. Unfair players think in layers and circles. Why do you focus on the obvious move? They're already changing the background, shifting perception, timing, or context, so they win no matter what you choose. Linear thinkers react, layered thinkers reposition. That's why smart people sometimes lose ground without seeing how. They answer the visible problem perfectly, unaware the problem was designed to limit choices. Machiavelli knew the strongest move is often sideways, not forward. Instead of answering directly, change the conditions. Instead of defending the point, make the point irrelevant. Unfair players do this naturally. When challenged, they don't debate the issue. They redirect focus. They add new elements. They change timing or audience. Suddenly, the original problem fades without resolution. Linear thinkers chase the fading issue. Layered thinkers step above it. To escape linear thinking, stop treating every moment as separate. Every exchange sits inside bigger context: relationships, reputation, timing, attention. Machiavelli would tell you to ask, what larger game does this belong to? Once you see the bigger game, options multiply. For example, public pressure isn't about the accusation, it's about the stage. Direct defense accepts the stage. Side move, delay, redirect, or remove audience collapses it. Unfair players rely on you playing their presented game. When you refuse, their edge disappears. Linear thinking also creates fake urgency. You feel you must answer now, decide now. Unfair players create that urgency because it shortens thinking time. Machiavelli saw urgency as a tool, not reality. Who controls timing controls result. Who rushes gives it away. Non-linear moves break momentum. Slow or sidestep, and pressure loses shape. Others must adapt. Adaptation reveals intent. Another linear trap is moral order. You think fairness first, clarity second, outcome last. Unfair players reverse it. They secure outcome first, explain later, let morals follow. Machiavelli wouldn't tell you to copy, but to recognize. When you demand linear ethics in layered games, you become easy to predict. Breaking linear doesn't mean dropping values, it means separating reaction from response. You can choose not to answer the question asked. You can answer later. You can answer elsewhere. You can let consequences land somewhere else. These moves confuse players expecting direct play. They can't pin you. They can't force sequence. They lose the script. Layered thinking also lets you win without direct fight. When context shifts, opponents often quit without knowing why. They feel resistance without opponent. They meet friction without argument. Machiavelli called this highest control. Most people fight on the given board. Strong thinkers redesign the board. Silence, delay, redirection, repositioning. These aren't avoidance. They're elevation. When you stop thinking straight line, you stop being pulled. You stop confusing speed with importance. You stop thinking reaction equals strength. Unfair players win where thinking stays narrow. When view widens, their advantage shrinks. The moment you step outside the line, the game becomes optional. Drop this in the comments, I think in layers. Number 6. Master planned absence. Power isn't only what you do. It's also what you choose not to do. Most people think constant presence proves importance. They reply fast. They stay available. They explain everything. Without noticing, they make themselves common. Influence grows in absence. Scarcity creates value. Planned absence forces others to notice. This isn't vanishing, it's deliberate withdrawal. Knowing when to step away so others feel the space you leave. Humans notice loss more than presence. They ignore what feels guaranteed. They focus on what feels uncertain. When you step back quietly, no drama, no announcement, you create subtle pressure. Talks change when you're not there. Your name comes up in rooms you left. People reassess your value, not because you demanded attention, but because you stopped supplying it. That's where real leverage begins. Weak people fear being forgotten. Strong people know mystery keeps them remembered. When you're not always visible, your return carries weight. Your words feel chosen. Your presence feels intentional. Silence unsettles people who need predictability. Distance reveals who actually needed you. Those who never valued you barely notice. Those who used you feel the gap immediately. That difference is gold. Planned absence works everywhere. Work, friendships, family. power circles. If your absence creates confusion, you mattered. If it creates panic, you held leverage. If it creates nothing, you now know your real standing. The mistake is staying physically present, but emotionally gone. That breeds resentment, not respect. Real absence is clean, no explanations, no announcements, no leftover feelings. You don't punish with silence. You reclaim your attention as a resource. Resources gain value when no longer free. This isn't manipulation, it's self-respect. The world treats you how you teach it. Teach endless availability, and people use you casually. Teach selective presence, and people approach carefully. History's most powerful people used absence wisely. They let uncertainty work for them. They let others fill the silence with their own fears. When people don't know your next step, they assume power. When you stop over-explaining, silence sounds like confidence. Planned absence also gives you clarity. Distance shows patterns you missed up close. You observe instead of absorb. Observation is where advantage lives. You stop seeking approval. You stop correcting every misunderstanding. You stop justifying choices, not because you're cold, but because you're centered. When you return, you do it on purpose, not out of need. Remember, attention given too easily disappears. Presence without limits becomes background. But absence used wisely becomes pressure. Pressure reshapes relationships without a word. Drop this in the comments. My absence has purpose. One final piece changes everything. Number 7. Control the story before you control the result. Most people lose before the fight even starts. Not because they're weaker, but because they let others define the meaning. Whoever controls the frame controls how everything looks. You don't need force if you own interpretation. The frame is the invisible border that decides what actions mean. It answers hidden questions. Who has the right to speak? Who is reacting? Who is explaining? Who waits calmly? People rarely fight facts. They fight meanings. If you let others decide what your actions mean, you lose without a blow. Weak players defend inside frames they didn't build. Strong players shift the entire lens. Same action. One person looks confident, another looks arrogant. The difference isn't the action, it's the frame. The mistake is defending inside their story. Defense accepts their rules. Once you accept the rules, you've already lost. Real power quietly redefines the terms. You don't say, "That's not what I meant." You act in ways that make their interpretation impossible. That's why powerful people rarely explain. Explanation lowers status. It signals doubt. Instead, they stay consistent until reality bends. Consistency without words reshapes perception. Framing starts before speech, in timing, calm, pace, restraint. Speaking too fast signals urgency. Over-explaining signals fear. Rushing to justify signals weakness. Calm pacing reframes everything. Silence reframes faster. People assume the unbothered person holds power. The strongest move isn't attack, it's composure. When others expect reaction and get calm, their certainty cracks. They start questioning themselves. They fill silence with assumptions that rarely help them. That's how frames break. Never argue labels. If someone labels you difficult, threat, problem, rejecting it feeds it, ignoring it kills it. You don't deny, you rise above. Action reframes faster than words. History remembers people who kept moving while others argued definitions. Framing also works inside your mind. If you call setbacks failure, you shrink. If you call them information, you grow. Your inner frame decides your outer strength. Posture affects how others respond. People who control their inner story are almost impossible to shake. They don't take resistance personally. They don't seek emotional closure. They treat events as data. That quiet confidence isn't arrogance, it's gravity. Others feel it without understanding. You're not begging approval. You're setting conditions. Conditions shape outcomes without fight. The ultimate frame is inevitability. When your direction feels unavoidable, resistance weakens early. People stop asking if you'll succeed. They ask when. That feeling isn't created by argument. It's created by positioning. Remember, the one who explains is reacting. The one who reacts is behind. The one who defines meaning chooses direction. You don't need to win every moment. You need to decide what the moment means. Control that, and everything follows. Positioning beats proving every time. You didn't watch this far by accident. Something clicked while you listened. Not loud, not dramatic, but deep. That's how real strength grows. You just learned what most people avoid forever. Not cheap tricks, not surface games, but the hidden structure of power. You saw that real strength isn't loud. Real control isn't frantic. Real influence doesn't beg attention. It waits. Every idea you just heard points to one truth. The world doesn't reward pure hearts. It rewards perfect positioning. People who rush get used. People who explain get tested. People who react get managed. But people who position precisely reshape everything around them. You don't need to announce your change. The strongest shifts are invisible at first. Let others underestimate your calm. Let them misread your silence. Let them mistake restraint for weakness. While they guess, you build. From today, your life gets quieter but stronger. Your words get rarer but sharper. Your presence gets scarcer but heavier. You stop chasing fairness. You become the standard. Some people will feel uneasy around you now, not because you attacked them, but because you moved beyond their control. That's the cost of growth, and it's worth it. Power isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Knowing when to step in, when to step out, when to speak, when to let silence work, when to act, when to watch. If this video made you uncomfortable, good. Comfort never built anything strong. Carry this with you. You don't rise by proving yourself. You rise by positioning. Once you live that, you're not playing their game anymore. You're designing the rules. If this helped you see clearer, hit like right now and subscribe to Dark Psychology for more videos that make you untouchable. See you in the next one.